Hello there, and in this video what we're going to do is just a light introduction to adding and subtracting fractions, which is going to lead us to adding and subtracting rational expressions. And we're going to start off real slow by just focusing on like denominators right now, because as you might remember, when we don't have like denominators, things get a little complicated. So just to get ourselves introduced to this, let's just look at some like denominators. So in this first one, we have 3/8 plus 1/8. So just remember how that works. We keep the denominator the same, and we combine the numerators accordingly. So that's 3 plus 1. And of course, we simplify as much as we can. And I remember our final answer should always be in lowest terms. So 4/8 is not a final answer. We know that the numerator and denominator both have a factor of 4. So we can write this as 1/2, and that is our final answer. Okay. Likewise, 6/7 minus 2/7, basically the same thing. We have 6 minus 2 over 7, which is 4/7. So denominator stays the same. We just do the operation on the numerator. Okay. So when we talk about expressions, it's essentially the same thing, but we just have to remember that we abide by the rules of expressions, which means if you want to combine, we have to have like terms and all the other things that have gone along with expressions up until this point. So with this one, denominator stays the same again. And in our numerator, we have 3x plus 7x, which turns out to be 10x over x plus 2. And remember, that is simplified because the x in the numerator is a single factor. The x in the denominator is a term. It is not something that is multiplied by other things. So we cannot cancel out any further. And my tip of the day is, when in doubt, don't cross it out. Chances are you'll be okay. And now with the subtraction one, now remember that we do have to take extra care when we're subtracting an expression. We know that we're going to combine the numerators. We have to put the second one in parentheses because it's an entire expression. And make sure we're subtracting the whole thing. So now we use our rules of expression. So I'm going to distribute the negative. D plus 3 minus D minus 4 all over 2D plus 5. Notice that denominator did not change. The d's cross out, and we are left with 3 minus 4, which is negative 1 over 2D plus 5. And that is a perfectly fine way to leave a final answer. Just a side note as well, you might remember, like if an answer ended up being something like negative 7 over 3, you could write it as a negative out front. It's perfectly legitimate to do that, but I always advise against that just because when you put a negative in front of the fraction, if you don't leave enough space, it just looks like a really long fraction bar. And when we're dealing with expressions, it's just even more cumbersome, I think. So unless you're going to write the negative like way out there, I would just leave the negative in, say, the numerator, and you'll always get a perfectly fine simplified answer. So there's an introduction to adding fractions with like denominators. We'll move on from this and go to unlike denominators in the next video. So thanks for watching.